Jose Rizal, June 19, 1861, December 30, 1896, was a man of intellectual power and artistic talent whom Filipinos honor as their national hero. He excelled at anything that he put his mind to: medicine, poetry, sketching, architecture, sociology, and more. Despite little evidence, he was martyred by Spanish colonial authorities on charges of conspiracy, sedition, and rebellion when he was only 35. Rizal's first novel was a scathing criticism of the Spanish colonial system in the country and the Philippine society in general. Was met with harsh reactions from the elite, the church, and the government. Upon his return to the country, he was summoned by the Government General of the Philippines Islands to explain himself in light of accusations that he was subversive and inciter of rebellion. Rizal faced the charges and defended himself admirably, and although he was exonerated, his name would remain on the watch list of the colonial government. Rizal wrote Noli Me Tangere in Spanish. It was published in 1887 in Berlin, Germany. The novel is a scathing indictment of the Catholic Church and Spanish colonial rule in the Philippines, and its publication cemented Rizal's position on the Spanish colonial government's list of troublemakers. Rizal returned. He received a summons from the Government General and had to defend himself against charges of the disseminating subversive ideas. In 1891, Rizal published a sequel titled El Filibusterismo. When published in English, it was titled The Reign of Greed. During that period, the people of the Philippines grew more eager to revolt against the Spanish colonial presence. Inspired in part by Rizal's progressive organization La Liga, rebel leaders such as Andres Bonifacio began to press for military action against the Spanish regime. He was arrested by the Spanish on the way taken to Barcelona, to Manila for trial. Rizal was tried by court-martial and charged with conspiracy, sedition, and rebellion. Despite a lack of evidence of his complicity in the revolution, Rizal was convicted on all counts and given a death sentence.
Hi everyone, my name is Wendelin Emalaki. I am second year college from Cruise Line Management. In today's video, we're going to tackle about the main controversies of Rizal Law. Back in the 1950s, the Philippines, much like today, was dominated by the religious sector. As such, the implementation of Senator Claro M. Recta's Rizal Bill was highly criticized by the churches. During the Spanish occupation, Rizal authored Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. These books were a key instigator of the Philippine Revolution. However, it also portrayed the church or the religious sector as an antagonist in the stories. Moreover, Recto during the 1955 Senate election was accused of being communist and anti-Catholic. This is the mean to the churches claiming that reading novels would violate freedom of conscience and religious. Those Catholic churches came together and campaigned aggressively against Recto and his bill. They urged advocates of faith to band together and write to the congressman and senator to show opposition. Cuenca emphasized that Rizal attacked the practices and beliefs of the church. According to an article, he stated the assertion that Rizal limited himself to castigating undeserving priests and refrained from criticizing, ridiculing, or putting in doubt dogmas of Catholic Church is absolutely gratuitous and misleading. Additionally, Catholic schools in protest threatened to close down if the bill was approved. However, Recto quickly rebutted that if that were to happen, the school would be nationalized, which the church clearly did not want. Today, issues between the government and the religious sector has been more prevalent than ever. Although this time, it's not just the Catholic religion that has stake in government affairs. One of the most notable issues of the modern times concerning the church and the state was the implementation of the Reproductive Health Law. Aside from this, the church has been reported to become even more involved in politics. Some religions have their candidates, while those opposing their beliefs were criticized heavily, swaying public opinion. What is the main purpose of the Rizal Law? Why was it implemented? The Rizal Law is about implementing rules to educate people about the life, works, and writings of our national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal, especially his novels Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo. This is to give the students and the future generations a sample background and for them to understand about how Jose Rizal hands over his life for our country. Whereas today, more than any other period of our history, there is a need for our dedication to the ideals of freedom and nationalism for which our heroes lived and died. Whereas, it is believed that in honoring them, particularly the national hero and patriot Jose Rizal, we remember with a special fondness and devotion their lives and words that have shaped the national character. Whereas, the life, works, and writing of Jose Rizal, particularly his novels Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, are a constant and inspiring source of patriotism with which the minds of the youth, especially during their formative and decisive years in school, should be suffused. Whereas all educational institutions are under the supervision of and the subject to regulation by the state, and all schools are enjoined to develop moral character, personal discipline, civic conscience, and to teach them the duties of citizenship. There are many qualities that can describe every hero in the world. Some qualities that would describe Jose Rizal are intelligent and hardworking. He really wanted to have freedom in the Philippines from Spain so that the Filipino did not have to be controlled by another country. He did not care about himself, he cared more about helping his country. He really wanted his country to be proud of him. Jose also was a very smart. He knew how to work many jobs and had mastered 23 languages. He also helped other people who needed help. Jose was hardworking in all that tried to accomplish. He once said, "It's a useless life that is not concentrated to a great ideal. It's like a stone wasted on the field without becoming a part of any edifice." Rizal was a very brave person. He used his talent in writing and wrote poems, novels, and published articles that teach the Filipinos about good deeds and inspired them to fight for the freedom. He was determined to have his people free themselves through his words and writings instead of fighting. He was always wise and looking forward, and he lead his people to independence. Rizal proved the pen is mightier than the sword, for his expertise in writings enabled him to convince his whole fellow men to attain justice. The destroying an empire for words files wherever and ignites every man's feelings. Just like a saying says that word is powerful, that come positive and negative in it. It could hit one's heart but also harm other like a double-edged sword. One of them is entitled to the Filipino youth. That contains strong message to convince reader. Youth in a particularly that they are the hope of nation. He also stresses the importance of education to one's future. It is very important to use our educational institutions to instill these values to the children who are at their prime years of growing and learning. During one's educational years, especially the college level, is when individuals formulate their priorities and career tracks in life. And it is essential that institutions make students realize that the country should be a part of their priorities, and serving one's country is an innate and inborn duty for all. Also, embedding a profound and authentic moral character and a strong sense of personal discipline in the youth would yield proficient, genuine, and selfless Filipinos of the future who would turn the Philippines from impoverished country to a globally competitive nation. This document was obviously written during time when patriotism and nationalism was lost and needed, and a time when people were inspired by initiative of the authors of this act. It was during this time when the Philippines and its citizens relied on the United States for guidance, support, and welfare. It was written in order to seek aside from the same brilliant mind that drove the Filipinos of the past to fight for freedom from colonists entails another need for another meaningful revolution in spite of the absence of invaders. The country may have needed a slow-paced revolution driven by a patriotism against dormancy, apathy, and futility.